A simple, non-negotiable morning routine. I mean, like making coffee into a reliable path for learning something new.
It's like leveraging the structure you already have in your life.
That's it. It's an expert-level application of that very idea.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're talking about achieving expertise through subtlety. So what makes this specific approach so effective, particularly for beginners? I mean, they're the ones who usually feel so intimidated or overwhelmed.
Well, it all begins and ends with the delivery, the tone.
The tone.
The source material is explicitly designed to be supportive, relaxed, and practical. When you really think about the psychological barrier most people have with language learning, it's not the grammar.
No, it's the stress.
It's the immediate stress and that fear of failure.
I found the description of the tone really insightful. They use words like peaceful and frame it as a calm, step-by-step monologue.
Mm-hmm.
And when you contrast that with, the pressure cooker environment of so many learning apps or formal classes, this strategic use of calmness just sort of neutralizes the learner's anxiety right away.
That neutrality is a brilliant strategic move. It really is.
How so?
Well, when the brain encounters a difficult, novel task, the subconscious response can sometimes be fight or flight. You get resistance.
Right, you just shut down.
Exactly. So by deliberately lowering the emotional stakes, by presenting the material as just a peaceful part of your morning, the resource minimizes that internal friction. It lowers the psychological cost of entry to almost zero.
This isn't a chore.
It's not a chore. It's simply part of waking up.
And it seems crucially focused on accessibility. The source says the language is slow, clear, easy to understand. It's specifically targeting beginners and early intermediate learners. That sounds less like a lesson and more like a carefully controlled user experience.
Oh, it is entirely user experience focused. Think about it. If a resource is too challenging on day one, the learner's just going to quit.
Of course.
Consistency is built on early, easy wins. So by ensuring absolute clarity and slow pacing, they maximize comprehension, and therefore they boost the learner's initial sense of efficacy, that feeling, that belief that they can actually do this.
Okay, now let's talk timing, because this is where the behavioral science for me really kicks in. The source explicitly recommends listening in the morning while getting ready. Why is that precise moment so critical to the whole method?
Because it's using the principle of behavioral anchoring, or, what a lot of people call habit stacking.
Right.
You are not asking the user to magically find 15 minutes later in the day when their willpower is already shot. You're tethering the new habit, the English practice, to an existing, highly stable anchor habit.
Like brushing your teeth or making coffee?
Exactly like that. Things you do without even thinking.
So the efficiency comes from just eliminating the decision. You take away the need for motivation because the cue, the smell of coffee, the running water, it's already there, and the new routine just slots right in.
Precisely. The sources recognize that consistency isn't about peak motivation, it's about minimizing resistance. By integrating the learning into a non-negotiable pre-existing routine, they're leveraging neural pathways that are already established.
Which is why it promotes consistency right away, instead of waiting for the learner to develop some new, effortful discipline.
That's the key.
So, okay, let's move from the why of the tone and the timing to the how of the instruction. What's the structural blueprint they're following to, physically walk you through the morning? And how does that structure reinforce the learning?
The physical sequence is basically the instructional chassis. It's a gentle 4-part process designed to be super easy to visualize and follow.
Okay.
The speaker guides the listener through waking up, watching their face, making tea or coffee, and then finally practicing a little English before the day really starts.
It's very specific. 4 distinct actions tied together. But what's fascinating to me is how the resource uses grammar not just to teach, but to actually structure this habit.
This is where the blueprint becomes really sophisticated. They rely heavily on 2 specific grammatical mechanisms. The first one is the relentless use of the simple present tense.
And why is the simple present tense so crucial here? I mean, beyond just being the tense for routines, couldn't they use, say, the present continuous to describe the actions as they're happening?
They absolutely could, but the simple present tense is a far superior choice for this specific goal. When you're teaching a beginner, you want to move the concept from abstract grammar to immediate practical application.
Right.
The simple present tense, I wake up, I practice, I listen, that is the foundational language of certainty and repeatability. It reinforces the habit itself.
So it's teaching the structure of a durable routine while also teaching the language used to describe it.
Yes. It makes the grammar feel concrete and actionable.
So it's not just a grammatical choice, it's more of a philosophical statement about consistency. The structure mirrors the content.
Precisely. And the second mechanism is the disciplined use of clear sequencing words.
Like first, then after that, finally.
Yes. And those aren't just filler, they provide a vital cognitive map. When the listener is multitasking, wiping sleep from their eyes and trying to absorb new vocabulary, these sequencing cues make the logical flow of the lesson totally undeniable. It organizes the process in a really low-stakes way.
That structural scaffolding is essential. So you're learning the steps of the routine, the language for the routine, and the grammatical tools to organize any sequence all at the same time and make sure the learner is never lost, either in the process or in the language.
It respects the learner's mental energy. You can process the instruction even if you're, operating at 60% capacity before your coffee has kicked in. The goal is flow, not struggle.
Let's shift now to the material itself, the vocabulary. If the methodology is all about consistency, then the vocabulary must be hyper-focused on utility. What specific language are they choosing to load into this new routine?
The vocabulary is surgically focused on the immediate environment and the philosophical mission. We see two main intersecting categories. First, highly actionable daily routine verbs.
Things like wake up, get ready, practice, listen, repeat, brush my teeth, review words. These are all terms that are instantly connectable to the physical action the learner is doing in that moment.
Yes, exactly. The connection between the word and the action is instant, and that creates a powerful memory trigger. But the second category is maybe even more important for the learner's long-term success,
Which is,
the habit expressions.
such as every morning, every day, and a little at a time.
That's where the philosophical core is embedded. They're teaching the vocabulary of discipline and endurance while the learner is actively being consistent. They internalize the concept that effort should be distributed over time, not, crammed into one overwhelming session.
That leads directly to the core insight, the whole so what of this methodology. But doesn't this a little at a time approach, this focus on smallness and calmness, risk breeding complacency? Is there a danger that the learner just masters the routine but never advances beyond, basic morning vocabulary?
That's a fair challenge, but the source's philosophy seems really rooted in the idea of Kaizen continuous improvement through small changes.
Right.
The central insight is this. Small daily habits can lead to big progress. This resource is focused on solving the number one problem for every beginner, which is just showing up.
If you don't show up, fluency is impossible.
It's impossible, regardless of how intensely you plan to study.
So the short-term goal isn't language acquisition. It's behavior modification that then guarantees long-term acquisition.
Precisely. They are building a scaffolding of confidence. By teaching the vocabulary through real-life actions, saying make tea while you are literally making tea, they ground the abstract concept in physical reality. This whole process helps learners build consistency and confidence over time.
And confidence for a beginner, it doesn't come from acing a hard test.
No.
It comes from successfully integrating the new skill into their existing life without it feeling like a huge disruption.
It's focusing on the compound interest of tiny efforts, rather than banking on some big motivational windfall that might never come. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the power here is pure integration, not just instruction. Think of it as intellectual piggybacking.
I like that.
You don't need new energy, you just attach the new task to the energy of the routine you already have. This eliminates the decision-making fatigue that usually derails language learners by, week 3?
That makes perfect sense. Now let's talk about how they make sure that the words and structures actually stick. We've covered the design, but what about the specific techniques in the delivery for memory retention?
The notes highlight two crucial techniques: slow pacing and natural repetition. This isn't just an accidental style. It's a very deliberate design choice aimed at moving information from short-term to long-term memory.
The slow pacing is so critical, just giving the brain time to decode, process, and rehearse the new sounds and structures. It's like it's counteracting the forgetting curve through immediate low-stress repetition.
And that repetition has to feel natural, woven into the monologue. But the real finesse is in the choice of sentence structure. The resource favors short, clear sentences.
And why are those short sentences such a pedagogical powerhouse in this context?
They drastically reduce cognitive load. Imagine you're simultaneously getting dressed, listening to a new language, and trying to remember if you turned off the stove.
Right, yeah.
A long, complicated sentence with a bunch of subordinate clauses would just cause immediate failure and frustration. Short sentences mean instant comprehension.
But I do have to ask, doesn't this hyper-focus on simplicity, on short sentences, basic tenses, doesn't that risk creating a learner who only masters simplified speech?
Hmm.
Is there a danger the language they learn is, I don't know, robotic or unnatural to a native ear, that it slows down the transition to real fluency?
That is a legitimate critical assessment. And, the risk of mastering only simplified registers is always present in these highly scaffolded learning environments.
Okay.
However, the goal of this resource isn't to create a fluent conversationalist in 2 weeks. The goal is engagement. For a true beginner, the priority is to establish a habit that sticks. Short, reproducible phrases, even if they're a little stilted, are high reward because they're instantly usable.
Here's where it gets really interesting then. They are prioritizing the confidence and the durability of the habit over the complexity of the expression.
Mm-hmm.
They're engineering memory and confidence by designing the linguistic unit, the sentence, to be as low risk and high reward as it can possibly be.
Yes.
Mastery of complexity, that's for later, once the foundation of consistency is unbreakable.
Precisely. The resource knows that the biggest enemy of the beginner is that feeling of being overwhelmed. This whole approach respects the learner's limited energy and attention span. The practice should take only a few minutes, it should be calm, and it should result in immediate, usable knowledge that drives them to show up again tomorrow.
So let's synthesize our findings for you, the listener. This deep dive into a language learning resource, it really revealed a sophisticated methodology. The true effectiveness is not in the content itself, but in strategically integrating these small, low-stress learning moments into a routine that's already established and non-negotiable.
Right. The formula is consistency built on calm, integrated actions. We identified those 3 critical pillars: a supportive, low-friction tone to overcome that initial resistance, a clear grammatical structure that directly anchors to the daily routine with simple present tense and sequencing words.
And then those specific delivery techniques, slow pacing, short sentences, all engineered to maximize memory and a beginner's confidence.
That's the whole package.
So what does this all mean for you? The lesson here is that consistency, built not on some heroic effort, but on calm, integrated behavioral anchoring. Well, that's the shortcut you were probably looking for. Stop seeking those grand, scary learning blocks and start looking for those 3-minute windows you already have, windows allocated to automatic tasks. The routine is the engine. The knowledge is the cargo.
And this raises an important question for you to mull over. If just reviewing some vocabulary while making coffee can lead to profound, compound progress in a skill as complex as language, what other small, daily, non-negotiable habits could you strategically integrate into your life right now?
That's a great question.
Could you listen to a technical report while waiting for the water to heat up, or review critical notes while you prepare dinner? The framework for mastery, it's already present in your day. You just need to attach the knowledge to the habit.